and Brian, his teammate, will join us later on with this presentation. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
We're doing very well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So Patrick is the regional group sales manager at Grand Circle Travel and Overseas Adventure. Gosh, how long have you done that now?
12 years.
12 years. He has a Mid Texas region. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this trip over to you, Patrick.
Okay. All right. Let me get my screen shared here. Everything pulled up. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, everyone. As Shelley mentioned, my name is Patrick, and I'm the Group Regional Sales Manager here at Grand Circle Travel for the Midwest and Texas and pretty much all over. Like I said, I've been lucky to have been with this company for 12 years and have done 4 trips, and they've been some of the best experiences of my life. I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I'd like to thank Shelley for putting this together. And yeah, let's get started. So just to let you know what I'm going to cover, I'm going to go through some of our competitive advantages, why people travel with Grand Circle and Overseas Adventure Travel. I'll let you know a little bit about the company's history. Then we'll get into some highlights of the trip itself. I'll let you know what's included, of course, and then we'll have some time for some questions and answers at the end. And you're all able to see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so Grand Circle Travel was founded by Ethel Andrus, who also founded the AARP. Ethel Andrus was a retired high school principal, and when she retired, she had this vision. She wanted to provide retired educators with international travel at a great value with a learning and discovery component. She started Grand Circle, and when she formed the AARP, Grand Circle became its travel arm. Ethel's vision is still alive today, and we are the leaders in international travel at a great value and the leader in learning and discovery. In 1985, Alan and Harriet Lewis purchased Grand Circle and moved its offices from New York to Boston. We are family owned and are in the same building pictured here today. So the Grand Circle and OAT difference, what separates us from the competition? You'll travel with the best program directors. And from a personal experience, I mean, they are the best. You'll get a true insider's perspective that brings each place alive, the stories, the food, customs, hidden treasures, and more. When you read through your itinerary, you will be seeing and doing those things, but they're going to find other opportunities to, what I like to say, pull the bus over and get you involved with the local people, the local culture. A lot of times people take our trips to see the sites, but when they come back, they're talking about the people that they've met along the way. And our guides do a fantastic job of kind of immersing you in that. We also have these authentic cultural connections, our exclusive Discovery Series events will take you into the heart of your destination's culture, providing you with a glimpse of its people's day-to-day lives. Solo-friendly travel, we are the leader in solo travel. We have the best value in the industry. We have the best per diems and include more upfront. We also have 29 worldwide offices. They craft a truly unique itinerary designed and supported by a team that lives and works in the area. These offices also give our travelers great peace of mind. If something happens in the world, we have an office there to respond immediately. In addition to those differences that separate us from the competition, we also have our pillars of discovery. We have a day in the life where you meet the locals where they live, work, and play. You might help out with farming chores, visit a village, or visit a local art, dance studio, or co-op. Home-hosted experiences, we split you up into smaller groups of 4 to 5 travelers. You'll join a local family in their home and see how sharing a meal and conversation is the best recipe for cross-cultural exchange. These are really special moments. I love the home-hosted and still in contact with some of the families that I've met on the trips. We also do controversial topics. So during an exclusive conversation with a local expert, you'll gain insight into a wide range of issues affecting the lives of locals. Now on to the trip. So the Grand Baltic Sea Voyage. This trip departs May 5th and returns on May 18th.
Oh, wait a minute. We have it May 15th.
15th. I apologize. So I will have to update that. So sorry about that, Shelley.
Heart attack.
But May 15th, actually even better, right? It's going to be a little bit warmer, but it's really ideal time. You'll get to avoid all the large crowds in the summer, but still get the warmer weather of spring. It's really, the time of year that our travelers love going over to Europe. What's included with our trips? We like to include a lot up front. So when you get there, there's not a whole lot of extra costs. All of your transportation, accommodations are included. The majority of your meals are included, and the majority of the sightseeing is included on this trip as well. But again, it's the guides. The guides are absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's really the key with our trips. Okay, so this trip will start off in Copenhagen and you'll travel around the Baltic Sea. We stop in places like Gdansk, Klaipėda, Riga, Tallinn, Helsinki, and then the trip does conclude in Stockholm. So a lot of different cultures you're going to experience. Just a lot of variety on this trip, and that's what people really talk about. So the trip starts in Copenhagen, and you'll learn about Copenhagen's history and taking in its iconic landmarks. Highlights of our tour include the Gefoyn Fountain, a massive fountain on the harbor that depicts the legendary Norse god Gefoyn, and Rosenborg Castle, which chronicles over 4 centuries of Danish royal history, and even houses the monarchy's royal jewels. And of course, we'll pause to see the city's signature attraction, the Little Mermaid Monument, unveiled in 1913. The Little Mermaid was designed from bronze and granite by Edvard Eriksson. Gdansk, I love this picture. It just looks like such a beautiful, beautiful coastal city here. It's a maritime city that's existed for a millennium. Gdansk has fluctuated between great prosperity and tragic destruction. An old town still shows both wartime scars and rich architectural beauty. And Klaipėda is the gateway to the coastal stretch known as the Curian Split, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The scenic area is separated by a protected lagoon on one side and exposed to the harsh Baltic Sea on the other. You'll dock in Visby, a small port that larger ships are not able to access. That's great. With our small ships, we're able to dock right in town. It's situated on the Swedish island of Gotland. Visby is considered the best preserved medieval town in Scandinavia. Your walking tour begins at the Gotland Museum, where you'll enjoy a guided tour with a local expert. You'll delve into the rich history of the region as we view displays of pre-Viking picture stones, medieval wooden sculptures, and the world's largest collection of preserved silver treasure. Probably from all those Viking raids, I would assume. So Riga served as an important trade port for centuries. Its prosperity also made it a target for conquest. Before Latvia declared itself an independent nation in 1918, Riga was claimed by Russia, Sweden, Lithuania, and Germany. So a lot of different cultures have gone through Riga. We do have an optional tour on this trip. It is a half-day excursion, and it does include lunch. It's $115 per person. You can decide when you're on the trip if that's something you would like to do. But it's an excursion to Rundale Palace, one of only 2 Baroque palaces in Latvia, where you'll enjoy a tour of the palace's elegant exterior and opulent rooms.
Up there, Patrick, today, after your presentation, we have a drawing, and one of the individuals in this room will win that excursion.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah, I was reading about that excursion. It also looks like you go to a pretty unique local restaurant. I'm sure the program director can provide more information on that. So after the tour, you'll go to that local restaurant and enjoy a nice local meal. So you also visit Tallinn. So on a panoramic tour of Tallinn, you'll catch a glimpse of sites like the Rotterdam Quarter, a time capsule of the city's industrial period, nestled among modern buildings in the city center. You'll also see sprawling campus of Tallinn University, discover one of the top research universities of the world. Later, you'll discover the district of Viru, which features a quite literal gateway to Old Town Tallinn. The towering stone gates, originally built in the 1300s to protect the city, now greets visitors as they enter Old Town and the many shops and restaurants within. In Helsinki, you'll wind your way through the city. You'll notice how the sea is an integral part of Helsinki. The city spreads out onto islands, peninsulas, and along coves, among which boats of all types navigate. Finally, the tour concludes in Stockholm. I've seen this picture many times, and I don't know, it's kind of always wanted me to travel to Stockholm. Still have yet to, but I will one of these days. So Stockholm is Sweden's capital city, and archipelago within an archipelago occupies a cluster of 14 islands floating among 24,000 that make up a 60-mile chain. Fun little fact I just realized, or I just heard recently, is that Sweden is the country with the most islands in the world. I believe that's true. So just to let you know a little bit about the ship, it's the Clio. Our travelers absolutely love this ship. All the rooms are going to either have a full picture window, except for the ones up here on the sun deck. These will have private balconies. The only thing I should let you know, these E as an echo category rooms, I believe they're partially obstructed windows. And with this trip, we do split you up into smaller groups, usually of about 25 travelers. Okay. So the ship only holds, I think, about 75 to 85 people. And then we split you up in those smaller groups. Really gives that trip leader the opportunity to get you involved with the local people and culture with that smaller group. We do offer a travel protection plan. The best way to describe this plan is that it's going to cover you in 3 key areas. The first is before you leave. Okay, it will allow you to cancel for any reason up until the day of departure. It also will cover your flights, but most importantly, it's going to take care of you medically while you're on the trip. So that concludes the presentation portion. I'm going to invite my colleague Brian on here so we can get into the questions and answers. But we can start with that before Brian actually gets on. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Brian, on day 4, I don't know if we missed it or maybe I didn't print it. We actually go to one of those islands, correct? The Danish island of Bornholm?
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Day
what
4.
was that?
Busy?
On day 4. Oh, is he gone?
No, he's still
I'm
here.
here. I'm still here.
Patrick's here. Brian's not in yet.
Okay. I show that we go to the island of Bornholm on day 4, but I didn't hear you mention that. I wanted to make sure my itinerary is correct.
Okay. Yeah, let me just pull that up here. I'm kind of having a little computer issue now. All right, let's see.
There it is.
Okay, here we are. Well, I'm glad Brian's coming on here because, again, I'm having a little bit of an issue. Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
Doing good. Listen, I'm having a little bit of an issue with the intranet. Let me see here. There was a question about day 4 and what the activities were on that day regarding visiting an island.
Sure.
Can you just confirm what we're doing on that day? And I actually just got my internet to work. So me and Brian are going to race to see who can answer that question first.
It does look like there is the day is a little bit out of order per group, just as there's two different little bit of different activities there in a different order for each group. Just pulling up the itinerary as well. All right, so typically the day's activities include a day in the life experience at the island, where you'll split up into smaller groups to make for a more intimate morning. You'll be visiting a local looks like there's local artists, local farm, and local family-owned apple cider production facility. Lunch is at a local farmhouse featuring farm fresh seasonal food. And then in the afternoon, you will leave the host and head back to the ship.
Thank you. We just learned about Bornholm Island, so I didn't hear you say it, so we're excited to go visit.
Okay. Yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm on the web right now. It's going to be one of those, like I said, one of those Discovery Series events where we're really delving into the cultural aspect of things.
Sure. Okay, I have a question about the categories on the ship.
Yes.
It said that the E level is partially obstructed. What do you mean by partially obstructed?
Yeah, I think it's like it's just a design of the ship. It's kind of like a little, Brian, do you know what I'm with the Clio, with the obstruction views, the E categories?
Yeah, on E.
Yeah.
I know it's like sometimes it's with the lifeboats, or it could just be like part of a wall.
Yeah, it could be the lifeboats, it could be part of the wall or crane or something like that. Or it could be part of the docks where we go at as well, where you might not have a sea view from that specific specific dock.
And Brian, I think you said we have one cabin on E, and it happens to be a single. It's a
right.
single available.
I that. Yeah.
I know. I'm just FYI.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Linda?
I'd like to hear about any discounts we're entitled to if we pay in full on registration day.
I didn't quite catch that. I'm sorry.
Discounts if we register on February 20th. What's the discount?
Yeah, so you have an opportunity to save 10% by paying in full with a checking account within 2 weeks of registering. The other thing that I will let you know as well is if you register by February 23rd, this trip did have a $500 price increase, but we're going to honor the original price, the price that you see on the flyer for those people who register by February 23rd.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know you don't have anything set up with airfare yet, but what airlines do you normally deal with?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's going to be the airlines that are flying, that the main airlines that fly out of Detroit. So typically it would be Delta, but it could be a couple other options.
Yeah, I guess it would either be Delta or KLM with those connections in Amsterdam. Amsterdam's one of the biggest airports within Europe as far as air connections and possibilities go. So I'd expect to see connections in Amsterdam each way, given that they typically offer nonstop flights to and from Detroit each day.
Yeah, I've traveled KLM many times, so.
Yeah, they're a good one.
Any other questions?
Yes, can you describe the double occupancy rooms?
Yes, we can do that. So if I'm correct, Brian, with the Clio, the beds can be either twin or double?
Yes, all the beds can either be a twin bed or a queen bed, depending on the traveler's preference and occupancy.
And what's the difference between the highest price and the next highest?
One has a balcony.
Yeah, the top priced rooms are going to have private balconies.
Okay. What's a VS cabin? VS cabin, is that?
That's a balcony.
Yeah, that's the veranda level.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any rooms on some of them.
What's the biggest advantage that you have over, say, Viking travel?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we include a lot more up front at a better price. You know, that's really the thing. I mean, we could always do price comparisons with Viking, you know, on any of the trips we offer. And the other thing is, you know, what I mentioned earlier, it's our guides and their love and passion for their job and their love of getting people involved with the culture. You know, a lot of times with Viking, they're just going to have one program director. That program director stays on the ship. You get off the ship, you'll have a local guide with you who most of the time is just going to show you, you know, the highlights. Whereas our guides, we have, you know, 3 or 4 program directors on the ship. They get off the ship with you. They're with you the entire time. Even if there is a local guide, you'll still have your program director with you. And, you know, they'll show you sites like the Eiffel Tower, but they also might take you, you know, down the street to a local bakery where you can like knead dough, you know, things like that. So, excuse me, those are really the aspects of Grand Circle and OAT that separate us from, you know, other companies like Viking.
And your guides are from the region, so they can communicate with the locals, and that's what really makes it nice. You know that out if there's an issue or if there's something special going on, they're going to make sure you get that experience. That's what we have felt with your company. We appreciate that. Can you discuss the tour activity level?
Yes, I can do that.
So the tour activity level is a 2 out of 5, rated as moderately easy. Some of the main requirements for it are to be able to walk up to 3 miles unassisted continuously and participate in up to 2 hours of physical activities each day, such as walking, touring, things like that. And travel over uneven surfaces such as unpaved path, cobblestone, hills, stairs, things like that. And then as well as being docked at a pier, the gangway incline can sometimes be steep depending on weather conditions and tide.
Yeah, that's really the key, you know, is the ability to get on and off the ship. At that point, you know, you can really make it as active or as inactive as you want. You know, with the city tours, they'll show you all the main sites, and then you'll usually have some time to go off on your own. So you could either sit at a cafe and people watch. I always love doing that when I'm in Europe, or, you know, go off and explore the town further.
So we're traveling on the Baltic Sea on a small ship, passenger ship. What will that water travel feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Baltic Sea, so we can't guarantee that it's always going to be smooth sailing. So if you know, suffer from motion sickness, you might want to just ensure you have the proper medication to use. And you know, there are other things out there that can help with motion sickness. Obviously, you know, safety is always going to be number one. But yeah, you can experience movement on this ship. It's not going to be like a river cruise.
like to point out that people should take an umbrella with them because that time of year, that you could have rain in the morning and then perfect day the rest of the day, or vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. Europe's, pretty unpredictable. It's kind of like, I would say Michigan, as far as it could rain any day, it could be sunny any day. So definitely be prepared. And, you're on the open ocean too. So, to have some warmer clothes or a windbreaker, I would definitely recommend that.
Can you describe what our time on the ship might be? What our meals might look like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And
yeah,
that's a good start.
Yeah. So typically, breakfast is usually going to be buffet style. For lunch and dinner, there's always going to be a buffet. But dinner, you'll have the buffet there, but then they're going to have some options for you to choose. Usually it's, they'll have a chicken, a fish, a meat option. They'll also usually have an option that's local to the region that you can choose from as well. And then as far as beverages, are all beverages included on the small ship, Brian, like the river cruise?
So yes, complimentary house beer, house wine, red or white, and soft drinks are always complimentary on the ship at every location, including the restaurant, and lounge.
Right. So you can have a glass of wine with your scrambled eggs for breakfast if you want.
How about the programming? I know you mentioned the guides will be doing leading tours, but there's additional programming on the ship, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, usually occasionally they'll have like someone local to the area come on board the ship and maybe play music. There's with the captain's welcome dinners and farewell dinners. The crew usually gets involved and kind of puts on a show for people, which is always a lot of fun. And of course, this is also kind of where the guides go above and beyond. I used to, on one of the river cruises I went, we just sat on the sun deck and the guides got over the loudspeaker and just kind of pointed out different things as we were passing. They also sometimes will have like a cooking demonstration, things like that to fill some of the time while you're going from port to port.
They aim to have some sort of activity every evening in the lounge area for travelers to participate in. Sometimes, like Patrick said, like live music or local trivia, things like that. Just small little fun activities.
That's right. They do have trivia. It's been a while since I took the trip.
Does the boat only sail at night or only at the daytime?
So there probably will be points where you're sailing during the daytime, but that's really the idea is, sailing at night just to maximize your time in seeing the sights.
Any other questions? How many have been on a small ship cruise like this? How many have been with Grand Circle? Look at that. See all these hands going up, Patrick?
Yeah. Welcome back, travelers.
With Grand Circle for about 10 years. So
We have, on the veranda deck, we have 9 rooms available. Do we know what cabin numbers those are?
We have 6 that we can choose from.
No, on the veranda deck, I thought it said 9.
I can check in closer with Brian next week, maybe on Monday, to find out availability. Would that be helpful for cabin numbers? Or in the past, they've been assigned, they assign it once we turn our registrations in, and then we let you know.
But they ask us for our first 3 choices.
I did, yes, we did.
Oh,
so
you
that
did,
we
okay.
can make sure that you get, hopefully you can get.
But I don't want to pick the 3 that aren't available.
That's why you get a choice. Number 1 is your first, second, third.
Okay.
But Shelley, are you asking for specific room numbers or are you asking for like A, B,
The
and
levels,
C?
yeah, levels. Thank you.
You can put your preference for specific cabin numbers down for this trip. We can, if they're still available, we can't block the actual cabin numbers. Okay, so it is kind of a first come, first serve basis with that. But if you do put your cabin number down, when we make your reservation, we can by all means, put that preference in there and assign that cabin if it's still available.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about attire? What should they pack?
Yeah.
For dinners and the special events.
Yeah. We're very casual. You know, at no point you need to dress up if you choose to, if you'd like to, by all means you can. But yeah, we're pretty laid back and casual on our trips. As you can see by the picture of these travelers here. I think this woman's wearing a heavy metal t-shirt. Heavy metal band.
Type of money. Type of money.
The currency for this trip.
Should be all euros.
That's what my thought would be, but let's make sure.
Except for Poland, but is that a currency that they will need to get?
No.
Or just use credit cards? Are they going to markets where they would need any Polish money currency?
I don't know, Poland.
So
Yeah, give me one moment.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
They have the ZLOTY.
Yeah, there's lots of.
Yeah, you've been there.
And I can let people know once we find out if we're not, if you don't have that.
Brian, do you have that by any chance?
Yep. So Finland, Estonia, and Latvia all use euros. Sweden uses a Swedish krona. Poland uses their own currency, Polish zloty. And then Denmark is Danish krone. It is always a good idea just to have a couple of extra bills through cash, like you mentioned, for if you go to any local markets or anything like that. The majority of places will accept credit card, but you never know if you go a little bit off the path there and visit some of these local stores, local restaurants, markets, things like that. It's just always a good idea to have some spare cash just to be safe.
And your guide also does a very good job of setting expectations regarding that. And, you know, they'll also always point out an opportunity to use an ATM and, you know, to exchange money. They're very good about that and conscious of it.
Once we get closer to it, our guide will probably let us know about bathrooms and availability and if there's fees. Probably not until just about a week out. Unless you guys know anything about the bathrooms in these areas when we're in the towns.
I haven't been to these countries previously, unfortunately. I wish I have, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I know in most European countries, you do need, yeah, for like the local public bathrooms, there is a charge for them for most places, but.
Once we find out our tour director, I'll reach out, I'll ask that.
Yeah. Okay.
There's 3 singles, correct?
Correct.
And our doubles, I need to get with Brian to make sure that count is right. I think you showed me maybe 46 or 47. So, but I will get with you on that.
Okay.
How many total people?
That's what I'll, as we get closer to Monday.
Okay.
Remember, there's two other groups of 25 registering on this same ship. Grand Circle has reserved a block of 2 groups for us. And we will release what we don't use probably shortly after next week. And then we're competing against others across the world for those spots. So another reason for urgency for us to register for this trip, 1, to get that discount next week, Tuesday, of 10% off the base. And then to make sure we have a cabin for you. And
how many singles are there going to be between the 2?
We have 3 singles available to our group.
Across both trips?
It's consider it one trip. It's one date, but they reserved a block of, like a block of rooms. We have 2 blocks of of those groups for us.
Okay, and in the 2 blocks, there is a total of 3 singles available.
Correct, total of 3 singles available.
What's the time on Tuesday?
9 o'clock. And we'll go over registration details after we're done with Patrick. If you'd like, I'd be happy to do that. Any other questions for Patrick or Brian at this time? Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, yeah, you're welcome. One more thing I will say, just so there's no confusion. So the prices have gone up in our booking system here. So when we make your reservation, we're going to be manually adjusting that. So you'll see a $500 per person adjustment on your invoice, okay? Because that might come up as a question. All right, so the pricing initially might look a little different than what's on the flyer, but you'll see the adjustment. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me. Sorry about the date thing here. Yeah, May 15th to the 28th. So I apologize about that. But welcome all you past travelers back. Excited to have you on this trip. And for anyone new who's going to be joining, it's going to be a great experience. These trips are amazing. They're really addicting, actually, to be honest. So thank you all for your time today, and yeah, we look forward to having you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so what's your first question? What does OLLI have? What do we do is enhance this test? We will have some programming, and we don't have it all scheduled right now. We're in the process of working with that for spring and summer and fall. So look forward to hearing from us about that. I think that makes a difference too when we can have faculty here or professionals in the area